When Vladimir Putin launched his so-called special military operation in February 2022, he promised a quick, glorious victory. He told Russian mothers their sons would be home in weeks. He told the world Russia was only defending itself. But what started as a promise of strength has become one of the greatest human tragedies of our time. 3.5 years later, that special operation has consumed more than 1 million Russian soldiers, killed or wounded. The dream of Russian glory has been replaced by grief, and now, the rebellion Putin feared most isn't coming from foreign enemies, but from his own people. Across Russia, soldiers are refusing to fight, families are protesting, and a nation once silent is beginning to say, enough. In the first days of the invasion, propaganda flooded every Russian TV screen. News anchors promised Kyiv would fall in days. Posters declared it a patriotic duty to defend the motherland. But the illusion collapsed when Russian tanks began to burn, and the push for Kyiv failed. Western intelligence now estimates that over 250,000 Russian soldiers have died, with another 750,000 wounded. That's around 1 million men more casualties than all Russian and Soviet conflicts combined since World War II. And for what? After years of bloodshed, Russia has gained less than 1% of Ukrainian territory. Entire divisions have been sacrificed for tiny, destroyed villages measured in meters, not miles. The front line moves just a few dozen meters a day, slower than the trench warfare of World War I. In March 2022, Putin promised no conscripts would be sent to Ukraine. Only professionals, he said. By summer, that lie was exposed. 18 and 19-year-old boys, barely trained, were forced into signing volunteer contracts. They were sent to the front, with almost no preparation, facing artillery and drones they couldn't comprehend. Many called their mothers from the trenches, crying, begging to be rescued. Some were declared dead before their families even knew they had been deployed. Russian mothers started asking, why are our children dying for nothing? Their grief broke through the walls of propaganda, and soon, their pain turned into resistance. By 2024, Russian military courts had prosecuted over 10,000 soldiers for refusing to fight, but that's just the official number. The real count of desertions is believed to be 10 times higher. Soldiers started shooting themselves in the legs to escape the front. Others just vanished. The Ukrainian government even launched a hotline called I Want to Live, allowing Russian soldiers to surrender safely. By early 2024, over 26,000 Russians had contacted it. Tens of millions had visited its website, mostly from inside Russia. They were looking for a way to survive their own government's war. These weren't traitors. They were men who realized that dying for Putin's pride wasn't worth their lives. Back home, the voices of women began to rise. In June 2024, outside the Russian Defense Ministry in Moscow, 20 women knelt on the pavement, holding handwritten signs. Bring my mobilized husband home. Enough of this war. Children stood beside them, holding pictures of their fathers. They called their movement *Put domoy. The way home. These weren't political activists. They were ordinary Russian wives and mothers. The very people Putin once relied on for silent loyalty. One woman said bitterly, Putin declared 2024 the year of the family. But I have no husband. What kind of family is that? For the first time, ordinary Russians dared to confront the Kremlin directly. The government's response was predictable: surveillance, arrests, and threats. But you can't arrest grief. You can't silence pain. Then came June 24, 2023. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the brutal warlord who once served Putin, turned his guns on Moscow. His Wagner Group army captured the city of Rostov-on-Don and marched toward the capital. For 24 hours, the world watched as thousands of mercenaries drove unopposed through Russia. Putin's image of total control crumbled. Instead of crushing the rebellion, he made a deal allowing Prigozhin to retreat. For the first time, Putin was forced to negotiate with his own and though Prigozhin later died in a mysterious plane crash, the message was clear. Putin's invincibility was gone. Inside the government, paranoia spread like wildfire. Generals who complained about losses disappeared. Critics were arrested. Power became so centralized that Russia's massive state could no longer function properly. Meanwhile, The economy is suffocating. Nearly 40% of Russia's federal budget now goes to defense and security, an unsustainable figure. Factories that once built cars now churn out tanks and shells, but those tanks are destroyed within weeks, and the shells fall on empty fields. Russia has become a giant war machine that produces only death. At the same time, it faces a labor shortage of over 2 million workers. The young men who should be building the nation are either dead, in hiding, or have fled abroad. Despite the propaganda, the truth is spreading. Polls in mid-2025 showed that nearly 64% of Russians now want immediate peace talks, the highest level since the invasion began. Among young Russians, support for ending the war is almost 70%. The war has divided generations. Older Russians, raised on Soviet nostalgia, still cling to the myth of national greatness. But the young see the war as a theft of their future. Many have left Russia entirely, seeking freedom abroad rather than fighting for an empire that exists only in Putin's imagination. In minority regions like Dagestan, Chechnya, and Tuva, resentment is boiling. These areas have suffered the highest casualties, their sons used as cannon fodder while Moscow's elite remain untouched. For 2 decades, Putin ruled through fear. People obeyed because they believed resistance was useless. But fear has its limits. When fear turns into hunger, grief, and hopelessness, people stop being afraid. Today, Russians are realizing the real enemy is not Ukraine or NATO, but their own system of lies. They see Putin's war isn't protecting them, it's destroying them. Every coffin that returns from the front erodes his authority. Every mother who speaks out weakens the foundation of his power. Vladimir Putin promised to make Russia strong again. He promised greatness, unity, and pride, but his war has delivered only sorrow, division, and decay. The rebellion spreading across Russia isn't an organized revolution, it's something deeper. It's the slow awakening of a nation that has lost everything except the courage to say no. Putin can arrest protesters and silence journalists, but he cannot arrest the truth, and he cannot silence the grief of millions. Because grief is stronger than fear, and love for sons, for husbands, for a future free from war will always outlast tyranny. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into the events shaping our world. Stay informed and stay safe.